The following production is brought to you by the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show.
Talkin' Buds Leaf Show. We started this podcast in 2019. And since we've started, we've sat through...
It was 2018.
No, it was 2019.
It was the beginning of the 2018 season.
No, because it was the second Bruins series, which was the first year that we started this was the second year they played the Bruins in the playoffs. So that was 2019. So in that time, we've seen a 7-game playoff series loss to the Bruins, a loss in the bubble play-in round to the Columbus Blue Jackets, blowing a 3-1 series lead to the Montreal Canadiens, losing in 7 to the Tampa Bay Lightning, winning in 6 over the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then subsequently getting their asses kicked in 5 by the Florida Panthers. And I gotta tell you, Game 4 against the Boston Bruins, one of the lowest nights of my life as a Leaf fan. We're doing this Sunday morning after the game, which took place on Saturday night. A lot of times when a game like that happens, you want to jump on here immediately, and because you're just fired up and you're spewing venom and you have so many hot takes you want to lay down. I'm actually glad we got to sleep on this one because we're coming at it the next morning with not nearly as much vitriol, and it just gives me a chance to take a step back and really think, like, I can't believe what we witnessed last night in the sense that this is rock bottom for this era of Toronto Maple Leaf hockey, the Brendan Shanahan era. This is rock bottom. This is a team that we saw that was lifeless. Zero fight in them. You come out, the Bruins are just locked in, doing what they've done for the first 3 games of this series. Shout out to all you Bruins fans who got in the comments of last episode just being like, you're a complete idiot for saying that they're the better team. I am a complete idiot for saying they're the better team. We'll get to that later. The game goes on. We see the camera catches a perfect moment on the bench of the 3 superstars in an argument. And you just take a step back and you go, there's a coach behind the bench that has no answers, that is just giving insane quotes after the game, like nothing wrong with our compete level. Guys are trying. Like that sounds like a coach who knows his team is done and is just trying to not make them feel worse about themselves. One of the lowest nights I can remember in all my years. I'm 35, going to be 36 in June. One of the lowest nights I can remember in all my years of being a Leaf fan.
Yeah, I mean, you think back, you just named all those series, and you think back at like what the worst moments were, and I would say that this and the Game 7 where they blew it against Montreal those are the 2 like absolute rock bottom moments. It's terrible, but I don't know, man. You're watching that game and you're like, this team literally cannot do anything.
No.
Like they literally cannot do anything. They cannot get an amazing save. They cannot score a goal. They cannot even generate a good opportunity in a dangerous area.
Can't defend.
They can't defend. Yeah. They can't score on the power play. They can't kill a penalty. Like it's really just like, whoa. Like for a team that is just perennial, they 8 years in a row being in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And it's just unbelievable to watch them in the regular season be a shoo-in for a top 3 spot in the Atlantic Division every single year. And then as soon as the puck drops in the playoffs, they just can't do anything right.
I really don't want to go too far into, like, we're going to have tons of time. There's still one more game left to be played in this series. Oh my God. And then there's an off season where if game 5 goes how we all think it's going to go, there for sure will be change. It's going to be hard, though, to not go down the road of like looking holistically at the team. It's going to be hard to do that. I see a group of guys, like you just ran through all the things that they're struggling with in this series. And it's like there's no question in my mind when you look at the two teams, which one is better suited for playoff hockey and which one plays a better style of playoff hockey. But the Leafs are not as bad as they've shown at times in this series. And I see a team that is carrying the weight of past playoff failure around with them. They're all tight. They're all tense. The guy behind the bench is tight and tense. I'm sure the guy upstairs, not Brad Treliving, the other guy, is tight and tense. And it's very clear that a cultural shift needs to change here. Let's just not waste any more time, and let's go to the video clip of what we saw on the bench last night. You got Matthews and Marner engaging in there's the audio. Let's put the audio away. There's Matthews and Marner engaging in some sort of argument. Then it cuts to William Nylander, who says, the quality lip readers on Twitter have deduced that he says, "Stop fucking crying, bro. This isn't fucking junior." Marner then turns and throws his gloves down on the bench. Kelly Rudy criticized him for it in the intermission, saying this is what a 9-year-old kid does when he doesn't get his way. It's just, this issue is so cultural, and it's permeated through layers of the organization, and it's just beyond clear that they run it back with the same guys, the same coach. Yes, they went and got Brad Treliving, but let's be honest, the only reason why they did that is because Kyle Dubas tried to pull a fast one and it didn't work. And this is what you get. And if we get to a point in a few weeks here where Brendan Shanahan gets removed as president of hockey operations for this team, the guy really has no one to blame but himself, because you're the one that's made the choice that you want to keep running these guys back every year. And I understand that people who support that idea will say, well, what about the Washington Capitals? The Washington Capitals kept coming back every year, and they eventually broke through and won their cup. Yes, but the Washington Capitals made several coaching changes.
Also won several rounds.
Yes, and they did,
and would go and lose to Sidney Crosby. Like, at least they were a shoo-in for a second round, and just got it's. I don't even think it's that great of a comparison. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't.
No, I'm glad you said that, because I always push back on that too. It's like, it's not the same thing. It's nowhere close to the same thing.
I think maybe you could relate like Matthews to Ovechkin. Like, you could make that argument. But this group as a whole, I don't think that's a great comparison. I really don't.
You look at just the way they come out and start that game. There was all this controversy this week about noise in Scotiabank Arena. Joe Bowen had to tweet the other night about how dead the fans were, and a lot of people pushed back on that and said, well, what is there to cheer for? This has been like years of just playoff disappointment. We don't trust these guys. We're not going to, they need to show us something. All these guys have been paid, and every year they sort of whiff and fall apart in the playoffs. They come out to start the game last night. The building is rocking. Like, the electricity in there is top notch. And within 10 minutes, the Leafs were the ones who sucked the electricity out of that building last night. It was not the Boston Bruins. It was the Leafs. Like, you look at that game. They did not have a quality scoring chance until the latter half of the third period. Marner comes out and scores in the third, and it's like, we're going to talk about Mitch Marner, because in all my years, I have never seen a pile-on. It's been going on throughout this series, but last night in particular, you had panel members in Canada, panel members in the United States, everyone on Twitter being like, this guy is lost right now. But before he scores his goal, they showed the heat map in the intermission, and they can't get to the middle of the ice.
No, they cannot. Yeah, say what you want about that arena. It's like, you're watching that last night, and you're consuming the game, and by the second period, it's just you mentioned tight and tense. That's that's how the fan base feels. It's tight and tense because as soon as one thing goes wrong, it's like, oh, here we go again. Because we've just seen it year after year. It's not good. And you're just watching the two teams play, and it's like one team is so clearly better at defending than the other. Like, it is not even close.
Ryan, we said going into this series, there is a coaching mismatch here, and you've seen it every single game. What system does this team play? What defensive system do they play? They don't play a defensive system.
No,
they
they
play
really don't.
One of your defensemen who can't handle a puck, try and move the puck, can't handle it. All the forwards are too high. None of them are coming back and helping the defenseman who can't handle pucks. What system do they play offensively? What do you see? They come over the blue line and it's a one-and-done opportunity. Kevin Bieksa pointing out numerous times last night about stupid decision-making coming over the opponent's blue line, like flipping it to the side to Tavares, who's flat-footed, and then there's 3 white sweaters swarming him, and it goes the other way. If they do get through, it's a nothing shot on Swayman, and it's back the other way. What system do they play on the penalty kill? Their penalty kill has been garbage all year. What system do they play?
Yeah.
What system do they play on the power play? The same power play that year in and year out goes absolutely quiet in the playoffs and has been brutal since mid-February. What adjustments has Sheldon Keefe made? He hasn't made any because this guy went to the Kyle Dubas school of keep shoving your skilled guys out there and eventually the numbers that these guys bring with them will win out. Doesn't fucking work.
No.
Doesn't fucking work.
Especially when they don't score any goals.
And you can't forget that. You cannot forget that Sheldon Keefe is a Kyle Dubas guy. You can't forget that. Like, when you watch him, it's like, yes, he's worked with Tree Living and whatever, and he's shown little changes this year in terms of, like, taking Marner away from Matthews and maybe being a little more prickly in the media. But overall, his ideology is the same as Kyle Dubas's. Like, this power play, it's not like this power play has gone quiet when the series started. This power play has been garbage for months. And this fucking guy just keeps shoving the same guys out there because that's what the numbers say to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really just I don't even they can't dump it in because they can't get in on the forecheck fast enough. They can't carry it over because the Bruins are just way too good at gap control and having their sticks and lanes. And then it's just like they can't figure anything out. Again, I go back to what I said at the start of the episode. They can't do anything right. They really can't. It looks like they can. It looks like I get that they're trying. I get it. But at some point, it's like you got to get something done here. We're halfway through the game. We don't have a fucking goal. Like, you know,
right.
Like,
they didn't even have a scoring chance.
I
man.
know.
It's not like they were like trying and Swayman stoning them. It's like that was the easiest night of work Jeremy Swayman's ever had.
Yeah. I know. Everyone's talking about Swayman's numbers. It's like, yeah, it's pretty easy to have those numbers when you don't face any shots at all.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's wild to me. The thing that I have really hard time wrapping my head around is 8 years in the playoffs. And Sheldon Keefe, this is like, he's been with them since the bubble onwards. This is not Sheldon Keefe's first rodeo in the playoffs. This guy has made 0 adjustments to playoff hockey. The main difference between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs is one team is committed to playing the way they need to play to get it done this time of year. And it's not that the other team isn't committed. The other team doesn't have a fucking clue.
Yeah, they actually don't have a clue.
Like they don't have a clue. Like, it's crazy to me that these guys, like, we're year 8 and you still don't understand that you have to change the way you play come playoff time.
Well, the Bruins also play like that all year round.
Yeah,
you know?
So no, you're right. That's a good. That's a good point.
Like,
it's not that you have to change the way you play. It's a commitment to playing a certain style that is going to help you come playoff time. And the thing that stands out with the Leafs is they play like they're riverboat gamblers in the regular season. They play a high-octane offensive style that works against teams in the regular season. But when you get in the playoffs, I'm a broken fucking record with this. There's no time and space. You can't fucking play that way, man.
Yeah.
You can't play that way. And they don't There's zero adjustments. None of these guys can figure it out. None of them know where to be, when to be, how to do it, what to do. It's unbelievable to watch.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
And you're watching those three guys argue on the bench, and it's like, you guys are clueless.
Yeah.
You guys are all the highest paid players in the league. You go out and have a fun time, get your 90 points, get your 69 goals, but man, when that puck drops at playoff time, you guys are lost.
I know.
You're lost.
Like you look at that. I'm sorry. Like, I understand emotions are super high in that clip and everyone's whatever, but that's so telling to me.
Yeah,
so telling to me.
And
like
then
that.
Matthews also, like, we haven't gotten to that as well. Just was not on the bench.
Apparently, he was taken out due to the illness that he was dealing with this week.
That's a bad look.
Yeah. So it's just, that is so telling to me. And this is a leadership issue with this team, like, full on. You've got John Tavares, Mr. Personality. Guy is washed. And Johnny, here it goes.
Yeah.
Johnny, I'm happy you came home. You had the first year you played here. You had a record-setting season.
Yeah.
It's whatever. We all knew the back part of this deal wasn't going to be great. They kind of got fucked over with COVID and how that impacted the salary cap. But man, oh man, like, this dude making $11 million to do nothing every single time he's on the ice. You got Mitch Marner, who, like, the way he's struggling has permeated through the team. It is the biggest story. There was two on Canadian television last night. There was Kelly Rudy and Kevin Bieksa going off about how invisible this guy is. On American television last night, there was Paul Bissonnette saying this guy should be benched for some of the efforts he's giving out there. It's like, it's just permeated through the rest of the team.
Yeah.
It's so clear. You got Morgan Riley, who's supposed to be a part of this team's leadership. Guy has been invisible for all 4 games of this series. Invisible. It's just, this is checked out. These mix of guys, it's over. It's so beyond over.
I know.
It's so over. And that video clip will live on as, like, this is the end. This is when they hit rock bottom, and this is when they were all like, it's time to go.
You can't even come. It's to the point where it's like, I'd like to hear the biggest Leaf optimist try to, like, spin this in their direction. It's just, you're watching it, you're like, I don't think they can ever come back from this. And I think they're already past that. Like, I think 2 years ago they were at that point where they couldn't come back from this. But you're watching that clip of them on the bench, and it's like, these 3 guys don't know what to do as a group to figure it out. And I know there's systems that aren't in place. There's another team that just knows what they're doing, and you guys have no fucking idea what you're doing, and that's coaching. But
you after the game, okay, Sheldon Keefe to the media, quote, "Nothing wrong with our effort level here tonight. Guys are competing. It's physical hockey. Guys are trying. It's a good team over there that is limiting us. You can question a lot of things. You can't question the effort." I understand at that moment in time, he's aware his team is as low as it's been, and he's trying not to kick them while they're down. However, if that isn't an indictment of the culture that is being set behind the bench of the coach, like, by the coach, excuse me, you and I said, I hate to go back here, but you and I said at the beginning of the year, the moment you decided to run it back with these same guys, you had to change the coach because you needed a fresh set of eyes and a fresh ideology and a new guy in here to try and squeeze more juice out of that lemon. And they didn't fucking do it.
No.
Brendan Shanahan chickened out, and he didn't do it.
It was a sympathy card.
I don't want to hear about, him and Tree Living met and Tree Living decided to keep him. No. Brendan Shanahan did not want to fire Sheldon Keefe and have to pay him out after the amount of money that they owed to Mike Babcock after firing him. That is just the reality of the situation. So you run it back. This is a cult. Like, you look at the Bruins. Look at Brad Marchand. They come back and win game 3. He skates over to the bench. He looks at his guys and he goes, "This is over in 5." He scores last night. He turns and he points at his entire bench, and they're all up, ready to go. This is a team that believes themselves, that's bought in. There was a quote the other day that made me sick, that made me throw up in my mouth. Jim Montgomery is talking to the media, and he goes, it was before game 3. He goes, "Our captain showed up to the rink, and I knew we weren't losing that game."
Yeah.
He showed up to the rink, he led practice, and I knew we weren't losing that game. This is a group of men who have bought in, who know what they need to do, who know like what the right pathway is here to winning this series. And you look at the other bench, it's a bunch of fucking entitled kids who have no goddamn clue, with a babysitter behind the bench and a president upstairs who doesn't want to rock the boat of the line of business that makes the playoffs every fucking year. Like, I'm going off the rails here a little bit, but it's the truth, man. It's the fucking truth.
Yeah, it's
I
don't even know. Like, honestly, I'm having a hard time. Like, you're just hitting on everything. Like, it's like, I wish there was more to add to it, but that's it. Like,
it's like that clip will just live on in infamy as like, this is these guys. This is them. Like, this is them when it's real hockey, and you really have to like take your nuts out here. And they don't know. They have no idea what to do. They have no idea.
Yeah, and you look at, like, the series isn't over. We still have another game. I mean, everyone thinks it's over, and it is over. But it's just like, what can you even do? What can you even say to try to get these guys motivated for Game 5 to try to push this series? Like, I just don't. I don't even know. You can't change your system. It's too late for that. You can't throw the lines in a blend. This is why the whole lines in a blender all year made me laugh. It's like, it doesn't matter. Have we spoke one thing about lines this playout? Like, it's just, there's nothing they could do right now to fix what is happening with this team.
It's just beyond proof that it's your best players and it's your leadership core that's going to get the job done for you. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go out and score 1 million goals. Like the quote I just said about Brad Marchand. He showed up to practice and he led his team and he said, we're not fucking losing this series.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, he has just galvanized his group, and out they go, and they execute every single shift. They have a game plan in place, which we talked about after game 1, and they just follow it to a T every single time. And it's like, these guys, there's no John Tavares. Yeah, these three guys are screaming at each other, and John Tavares is on the bench like Tyler Bertuzzi. Look at Tyler Bertuzzi in this clip. Look at him. Let's take a look at Tyler Bertuzzi. Let's play this clip again. From the top, look at Tyler Bertuzzi. Ready? Going to cut back to Tyler Bertuzzi. I'm fucking out of here, man.
So out of here.
I'm fucking out of here, man.
Yeah.
And like, let's not forget, last year they brought in Ryan O'Reilly. This is a testament to the culture that Brendan Shanahan has allowed to fester here. Yeah. They bring in a world-class leader in Ryan O'Reilly. They bring in a guy, Brendan Shanahan himself, years prior, were like, God, I'd love to have a guy like Ryan O'Reilly in this dressing room. Okay. Yeah. They go and they get him. At the end of the year, he goes, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't need to stay here. Most guys, when they come here, are like, wow, this is a world-class organization. I want to stay here. I want to whatever. He's like, nah, this is a shit show with a bunch of entitled kids, a guy behind the bench that doesn't have a fucking clue. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'll go play on the first line of the Nashville Predators, lead them on an epic winning streak, going in the playoffs. And so far, I know they're down in the series, but they only gave up 12 shots in the game. It's just like, yeah, that is the perfect example. Yes. It really is.
Yes.
I'm not going to sit on PP2 and watch these idiots go out here and suck.
Exactly.
When I can go be PP1 and be a leader and lead a team. And I'm telling you right now, if the Leafs played the Nashville Predators in the first round, they would lose.
I'm not going to sit on the bench while Mitch Marner, who stunk for every moment of this fucking playoff series, continuously gets shoved over the boards.
Oh, my God.
Why am I going to go out there and do my Warrior Ryan O'Reilly stuff, like block shots and whatever, when this idiot behind me is going to keep shoving these guys out there who don't have a goddamn clue?
Yeah, I think I really don't think they have the horses in a lot of areas of the ice, but you talk about Brad Marchand being confident and galvanizing the guys. I would feel confident, it's just because they know what they're doing. They have a system in place. They feel confident about their game. These guys have no idea what's going on.
And that's what I mean.
They're literally clueless.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say it's like yes, They struggle in playoff hockey. They don't get it, whatever. They're not as bad as they looked last night. But this is one team is supremely confident in executing. The other team has lost all confidence. That's why a lot of people were going mental at the Keefe comment. And while it is infuriating, I also kind of understand that like his team is as down as it's been in his entire team. He's not going to kick them when they're down.
No. And he knows that like this is probably his second last press conference as the head coach of this team.
Yes.
So, I mean, what's the sense of going out and burying a bunch of dudes? I'm sure talk about the wave of emotions that guy went through last night. Like, oh my God, he's probably ready to spaz. And then he sees that and he's like, oh, like, well, I don't want to, we just hit rock bottom. I don't want to be too hard.
But at the same time, Ryan, it's like you keep, like, why do you keep shoving Mitch Marner out there? Like, he's been.
I think it's not, I don't even think that's it. I don't think it's, why do you keep shoving Mitch Marner? They don't have. It doesn't matter who they shove out there right now. It really doesn't. They could shove out Marner. They could shove out Nick Robertson. They could shove out Yard. It doesn't matter. They don't have what they need to be successful. I don't care who's on the ice. I know the power play sucks, but they put out PP2. They can't do anything either. Like they can't do anything right. They literally can't. I don't think it really matters who's on the ice. I really don't.
I mean, I don't think
you have to keep shoving Mitch Marner out there. You have to, because he's supposed to be one of your top guys. And like, if you want, like, look at last night, David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand. I said they were quiet at the start of the series, but in a big game where they needed a win to go up in the series and put a chokehold on it, like, look who shows up. They did. And then Pastrnak, Marchand, they're not on the same power play. They're rotating. Last night, Jim Montgomery goes, this is the right time to do it. Yeah. Works.
Coaching adjustments.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, the more I think the Leafs, if I was a coach and I looked at the Leafs defense, which I think is arguably the most least skilled defense in the NHL, like I'm not even joking when I say that. I think they actually might be the most least skilled pair, like six in the NHL. If I was a coach, I would not be super stoked to look at that decor and be like, I can win with these guys. But the more you just think about the series and you look at the Bruins, like, oh my God, what a defending machine. And it's like they just literally do not have any sort of system in place for how to create offense when the checking's tight, how to defend, how to be tight on every Bruin that's in the O-zone. Like, it's just they literally just have nothing. How to enter the zone, how to forecheck. Like, it's really bad. I don't care who's out on the ice right now. None of them could figure it out.
Clue.
They have no idea.
I mean, is there a point Game 5 goes Tuesday night. We'll be back after that. Is there a point? The one thing I will say is they've been a far better road team all year than they've been at home.
Oh yeah, the home, but was it 5 straight home? Like that is just
Sheldon Keefe,
brutal. Like
Sheldon Keefe's record, 4-12 at home in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yet we're gonna run him back because he's a good coach. No, Brendan.
Yeah.
No.
Look at the Vegas Golden Knights. Like
yes.
they're the. I don't think it's healthy to have like a coaching carousel. Like you look all over pro sports and how many. Look at the Sabres. Like like it's just. I don't think it's always the best to just keep firing coaches. But you also look at the Golden Knights and it's like they've had some good coaches in there. And they lost in the first and second round. And I know they were trigger happy and it worked out for them, but they got a new guy in there.
Well, this is really digging deep and something we don't need to get into, but that kind of speaks to like, instead of having corporate ownership, a singular guy who's just like, I don't care, fire the coach. I don't care. I don't care what Pete DeBoer has done in this league. I've seen enough, fire the coach and bring in Bruce Cassidy. Like, yeah. I've seen enough. Like, it's not treated as a line of business. It's just some emotional guy who, it's like, it's very clear they didn't move on from Sheldon Keefe because when they fired Mike Babcock, they owed him tens of millions of dollars. And they didn't want to have two coaches, which is crazy when you consider how much money this ownership makes and what they're charging for tickets.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Mike Babcock is one of the most aggravating people on planet Earth. And what he did to lose a job at the start of the year was a joke, but you look at all his criticism of this hockey team, and he had them early on.
Yep.
Was he wrong?
Sheldon,
like,
well, to bring it full circle to get out of here, like, you cannot forget that Sheldon Keefe is a Kyle Dubas guy who is those two have been together for years. on a bunch of different teams. They have the same ideology. They don't like the idea of moving on from Sheldon Keefe and bringing in a guy like Craig Berube in here that is very appealing because you need to get these stars to buy into playing the way Brad Marchand plays in the playoffs and playing. Look at the Florida Panthers. Like, yeah, they lost game 4, but they lost game 4 because the Lightning are a good hockey team. And
they almost came back in that game.
I know, but they're not.
They were down 3-0, 4-1. They came back, almost made a game. Like, it's hard to sweep the Tampa Bay Lightning. It really is.
Look at the Vegas. Everyone brings up Vegas. This team, yes, and you could go on about the whole IR situation and whatever, but this is a team that made the playoffs on the second wild card. Barely got in, and then they're just like, okay, we're here now. We know how to do this, and off they go.
Yeah, and even like I've seen criticism that Vegas hasn't played extremely well, but all of a sudden they're just getting like great goaltend. Like, it's just like everybody's just like doing something to be successful in the postseason. This team's doing nothing.
No.
Like Logan Thompson's just being a legend in the play. Like, I just, I'm excited for them to get eliminated so then we can like push. This was a very funny episode. Like you came prepared, but like we had to hold back a little bit. It's anyone with a set of eyes can see exactly what we said today, but like just the next episode when this season's over, it's time to really like unload on what this team needs to do.
Yes,
like,
and then
to take the next step because
100%.
Everybody, the most diehard Leaf fans I know, the most optimistic guys I know, are done. Yeah. Like they're just done watching this team. Yeah. And it's just, I would love to see I would love to talk to the most optimistic Leaf fan and see what they have to say because I honestly can't think of one thing. I really can't. There's not one thing to feel good about. There's not one.
Well, we await. I could potentially see a scenario where they win game 5 because like I said, they've been pretty good on the road this year. I assume Joe Wall is going to start that game. He came in to play the third period.
Was that the last game you're going to see Ilya Samsonov play as a Leaf?
Maybe.
Like that's what I was thinking. As soon as he got pulled, it's
and I don't think Samsonov's been awful.
No, I don't.
I don't think Samsonov's been awful. It's just their team is in such a way that he has to be unconscious.
Yeah, it's the Blue Jays pitching right now. It's like you're not getting any run support. So like you give up one goal, like Van Riemsdyk just puts it through the legs. The game was over. Yeah. Like it was over at that point.
Yep.
So,
all right. Well, if you're ready for more ranting and raving, because as Ryan just said, we are prepared to unload whenever this series ends. Hit that like and subscribe button below. All you Bruins fans who called me an idiot. It's so funny. 2 episodes ago, I was the most negative Leaf fan ever. And why do you hate this team? And then 2 episodes later, it's you overvalue your players. Whatever. But I will say, on paper, I believe that the Leafs do have more high-end skill, but as we're learning in the playoffs, that means diddly fucking squat.
Yeah, really.
So,
well, I mean, it means something when your team is put in a position to play the way you need to play, and then when it's time to bury a team, your best players bury the other team like we saw in game 4.
Yeah.
Like that's what we saw. We saw a team play a great system, play a great team game. And when it was time for the skilled players to put the biscuit in the basket, there's Brad Marchand with a wide open net.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. Like that's what skilled players and your best players do in the playoffs.
Yep. All right. We're going to get out of here. Like I said earlier, if you want to join us after Game 5, hit that like and subscribe button below. Once the series is over, we will be here as well because I'm sure there's going to be some news that comes in after that. We always do our year-end thing. Look at me. I'm just prepping everyone. Yeah. Like we always do our year-end thing. So hit the like and subscribe button. Also, if you're listening on audio,
spread the word, tell your friends.
We really appreciate it. We'll see you guys after Game 5.